All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. I'm excited to walk through our employer study. I'm just going to give it another 30 seconds for everybody to join, and we'll get started here and not too long in the interest of everybody's time. So thanks again for joining on time. We'll give people just another 20 seconds or so. Okay, let's go ahead and get moving. Again, thank you all for joining me today. I really appreciate it. A couple of housekeeping items to handle right before we get started. But first, the webinar is being recorded. You should already know that. You're alerted. And we'll be sharing the recording along with the full presentation in the next 24 hours. And secondly, we have some time for Q&A at the end as well. So if you have any questions that you'd like the team to answer, just make sure to add the Q&A or the chat feature at the bottom of your Zoom screen, and I will make sure to answer those at the end of the presentation. And like I said, we'll have time if you think of stuff along the way. But my name's Tiffany, and I'm thrilled to be here today as we explore how to build a resilient workforce for your dealership in 2025. I lead the automotive partnerships department at Hirology, where my passion really lies in driving success for both our team internally and our valued partners. For over 15 years, Hirology has worked with thousands of dealerships nationwide, and we've seen firsthand the difference that a strong hiring strategy can really make. And that's not just filling your open roles, but it's in driving service revenue, customer experience, and also retention. So today we'll dig into our findings and discuss how you can implement effective strategies to empower your workforce. And I'm really excited to kind of give you some insights to what we found this year on our study. So today, 1 in 3 franchise dealers already rely on us. We combine easy to use hiring tools with real insights on what's working. So, you can build not just your team, but a true competitive advantage. So the road ahead for us today, we'll start with a quick state of the hiring market, and then we'll dig into the biggest challenges and trends, and we'll wrap up with an action plan so that you can put your work together right away. And of course, like I said already, we'll leave plenty of time for questions. So even though hiring feels tough, the headline that I want you to take away is the broader job market is holding strong. That's both good and bad news, honestly, because the demand for techs is up and it continues to rise, but the supply is still tight, meaning that the stores who move the fastest and offer the best experience are the ones that are winning. So this slide, it shows the market interest and opportunities across our customer base in automotive retail. And we've experienced a remarkable surge in applicant data over the last couple of years, and the numbers really speak for themselves. March 2025 saw an incredible 885,000 applicants. And this marks our highest volume to date, with January not too far behind with over 821,000. And this massive growth showcases not only that our reach at Hirology is strong, but also the strong demand for opportunities sourced through Hirology. And these spikes show that people are looking to get employed right now. And over the past year, Hirology has powered 192,000 hires. And this is just totally remarkable, honestly. And it highlights our platform's effectiveness in connecting businesses with the talent that they need. And despite fluctuations in applicant numbers that you saw on the last slide, our monthly hires have remained consistently strong. This stability is a testament to Hirology's robust conversion funnel and also our streamlined hiring tools, which ensures that businesses can efficiently turn potential into success. And together, we're really not just filling positions, but we're helping to build thriving teams. So, moral of the story of the last 2 slides, despite what you might read or see, the employment market continues to remain strong. And it's really the optimal time to be building your roster at your dealership right now. And why does that matter? Well, right now in the US, zooming into the demand for technicians specifically, the landscape is more competitive than ever, with 3 open tech roles for every 1 available candidate. Your technician candidates have a wealth of options at their fingertips, making this a really fierce competition. And they have more options than ever before, honestly. It's not just about you selecting the right candidates, it's equally about candidates choosing you. This dynamic means that to stand out, you really need to showcase what makes your dealership the best choice. And every year, Hireology surveys hundreds of dealerships to dig into topics like what hiring challenges are keeping you up at night, where you're investing as it relates to recruiting and hiring, and then also how your hiring priorities are shifting in 2025. And our approach is really rooted in real world feedback from dealers, ensuring that our findings reflect practical insights rather than theoretical concepts. This is you and other dealers telling us what is actually happening on the ground. And to gather this information, we focus on three main questions. Number one, identifying challenges. So we ask dealers directly about what their biggest challenges right now are, allowing us to understand the pressing issues they face in the current market. Two, investment plans. We inquired about their intended areas of investment, which provides insight into their strategic priorities and where they see potential for growth. And three, emerging trends. We explored what trends they anticipate for the upcoming year, helping us to identify shifts in the industry that may impact the workforce dynamics. And Hireology really aims to pinpoint opportunities to bridge existing gaps. We analyze what needs to change and how we can invest in technology solutions that support these improvements. And this methodology equips us to offer actionable strategies that address the need of dealerships and enhance workforce resilience heading into 2025. Okay, so with that little background, let's take a closer look at what current staffing situations look like at your dealerships. And no surprise here, but nearly 2/3 of dealerships report feeling understaffed today. And this is a significant challenge, which you can imagine, as only a small percentage feel like they're fully staffed. And being understaffed can lead to a ripple effect. It means slower service, decreased revenue, and most importantly, frustrated customers. This is a situation that we collectively want to avoid. And I'd like to ask you all and think about this at your dealership right now. How many of you on this call would say that you're fully staffed? And how many of you would welcome another master tech if one came to you? Think about what that addition could really unlock for your dealership. And I'm going to explore how we can really tackle this together using data and ensure that our teams are equipped to meet the demands that are out there. So a critical insight from our study to really lay the groundwork for us today as well is 70% of dealers have identified finding quality candidates as their top hiring priority. And this statistic really underscores an important shift in our industry. It's no longer just about filling seats, and we can and should be selective. We are looking for the right people that will perform, stay, and most importantly, grow at our dealerships. In today's competitive landscape, having the right people on your team can make all the difference. Quality candidates not only enhance service levels, but also contribute to a positive working culture and drive long-term success. And nearly 80% of dealerships, and that's 4 out of 5, are grappling with the challenge of filling service tech roles. It's been this way for a while, but this statistic remains striking, and it makes complete sense when you consider the pivotal role that technicians play in driving service department profits. And it puts a lot of pressure on you as the dealer. When we lose even one technician, the impact can really be felt across the operation. Slower service, longer wait times, and ultimately dissatisfied customers can all stem from a technician shortage. And even when you do hire the right tech or fill another role at your dealership, the battle, as you know, is not over. Because according to our findings, 36% of you report experiencing high turnover at your stores. And that's over a third. That's a significant amount of people. And this statistic really highlights a crucial point that retaining great talent is just as critical as recruiting it. And you have to really do both things. You have to do well on hiring on the front end, and you have to do well at retaining on the back end. Retention really starts the day that you open the position, because retention is the practice of delivering on the promises that you make during your recruiting process. So, question for yourself, think about this. What can you do to foster a culture that keeps our talent engaged and motivated? Spoiler alert, if you've already written something down, that's great, but it's not just throwing money at people. And I know that's a big mindset shift for most of you. And it's just not about offering the biggest paycheck that you possibly can. And you can compete on things more than money. Many candidates today prioritize work culture, flexibility, and career growth, just as much, if not more, than their salary. And this really means that we need to rethink our approach to how we attract talent. Only 11% of dealers said that they increased pay in 2024. Did you guys? In today's competitive market, savvy dealers are recognizing that compensation isn't the only way to attract top talent. Instead, they're finding creative and effective strategies to compete that go just beyond salary. Consider a couple of key areas when it comes to this. Savvy dealers are creating better working environments. This means creating a positive workplace culture where employees feel valued and also supported. And they're finding faster processes. They're streamlining hiring and making onboarding more effective to make the experience smoother for new hires. And they're also showing their employees that there are more opportunities to grow at the dealership. And savvy dealers are really providing clear paths for career advancement and professional development that should and does keep employees engaged and motivated. Okay, so company culture. Older workplace studies showed that benefits provided were the difference makers for candidates. Culture wasn't the end all be all, but now culture holds such a strong hold on how businesses attract applicants. So take a look at a couple of these quotes up on the screen. A lot of the themes that I see from this are inclusive, kind and caring. You care about your employees. You're enthusiastic as leaders, supporting employees in just a positive work environment overall. And these common themes, they boil down to really one statement. Employees want to feel valued. A lot of businesses do that by overpaying, and they make their value show by compensation. But today, especially in automotive, pay is not the only factor. You need to make sure that day in and day out, that culture is felt at your dealership. And this employer research that I've already gone through, it aligns with our study of automotive applicants that we did last year, where 44% of candidates prioritize roles with good culture and working conditions. So how do they know this, right? Like, how do they know if your dealership has good culture and working conditions? They don't, right? You need to tell them on the front end. You need to sell your product, your dealership up front, which is your culture and your great place to work. They need to know this right up front and center. Don't make them look for it, and don't make them find it out later either. And 41% of our applicants, they look for career roles that offer career growth. And that means candidates are doing their homework. Dealerships with a clear employment value proposition, they win, period. So ask yourself, how is our dealership communicating this value proposition to our candidates? And if you don't know how, here's your opportunity to really think about that. And this is important because 1 in 2 candidates check your career site before applying. It's a critical opportunity that many dealerships overlook. And if your career site is outdated, confusing, or fails to highlight why your dealership is a great place to work, you risk losing applicants before they even make it to the application stage. So think of your career site as your dealership's storefront. It's where top talent comes to shop for their next opportunity. Just like you wouldn't leave your showroom cluttered or uninviting, your career site needs to be engaging and informative. And at Hireology, we emphasize that recruiting and hiring, it should be treated with the same level of intention as your sales and marketing efforts. Take the time to design and promote your open positions effectively. Think about how your career site can work to attract the right candidates and ensure that they see value in joining your team. Okay, so let's talk about a crucial competitive edge in today's hiring landscape, which is speed. It's not just a nice to have, it is absolutely everything. We're in a world where time is currency, and this applies directly to your recruiting process. Candidates today have a wealth of options, especially when it comes to technician roles. Candidates expect fast feedback and a clear process, and if your hiring timeline drags on, you risk losing top talent to competitors who are quicker and more efficient. With 3 valid job positions generally available to applicants, the question really becomes, are you making sure that your dealership is first in line? So in general, around 70% of the time, the dealer that gets back to the internet lead first sells the car about 70% of the time. In general, the dealer that gets back to the quality candidate first makes the hire. So the key factor that separates the best performing dealers from the rest, they fill open roles in under 2 weeks. So how do they achieve this remarkable time? A few strategies to consider. One, quick outreach. Successful dealers do not waste time. They reach out to promising candidates quickly, showing them that their interest is valued right from the start. Efficient interviews. They streamline the interview process to make it as smooth and quick as possible, respecting both the candidate's time and their own. And no long gaps or ghosting. Consistent communication is key. They avoid leaving candidates in the dark, which helps build trust and keeps candidates engaged over the long run. Now, if you find yourself outside of that 50% of dealers who have mastered this quick hiring process, it's time to reflect. And just so you know, obviously you're not alone. You might be missing out on the top talent that could elevate your dealership. Okay, so our playbook here at Hireology, there are really three big numbers to watch when it comes to your hiring process. Number one is time to review. That's the total time it takes for you or someone on your team to review applications. Second, time to first outreach. How fast are you reaching out to people when you decide that someone is somebody that you want to talk to? This is somebody who is qualified to fill the position. And third, time to hire. How long it takes from posting the job to actually having somebody accept your job offer. Dealers who track and improve these metrics are really seeing results. And that's what Hireology is designed to help you do, to help you move those needles. In Hireology, you can see these metrics and understand where you're at all from one place. So again, question for you, are you tracking these metrics today? With Hireology, like I said, you'll be able to see this and understand how you're benchmarking yourself against other dealers. But we want to make sure that you're not sacrificing quality for speed. It's not just about moving fast, it's about hiring right. So 3 more key metrics for you. Number one, source of applicants, where your applicants come from. Source of candidates who advance. For the people who you like and maybe move on to an interview, for example, where did they come from? And application to candidate conversion rate. This tells us which sources give us the best leads at volume. And it's not different than our car buyer leads. You can go out and buy a bunch of bad leads at volume, but I would rather have the quality leads from the right source. And your best source, time and time again, is your career site. These are the folks that seek you out and want to learn more. They're your serious applicants. And by managing your recruiting funnel for both speed and speed to lead and conversion, you'll be able to get top talent and identify any friction points that are preventing you from getting that top talent. Okay, so zooming out, big picture, kind of what I've talked about so far already. When you look at a candidate's journey, small delays at every stage add up. So we want to simplify your review, your scheduling, and your interview process. And if you do that, you'll move better candidates through the process faster. So again, starting with our ultimate goal, and beginning with the end in mind, we want to hire applicants in 2 weeks or less. So if we're going to do that, we need to be interviewing within 3 days or less to meet the applicant expectation. Those metrics line up with what we reviewed earlier in the data. And that means that time to review, it needs to be within 2 days and ideally in 1 day. So you need to be moving through this process if you want to achieve 2 weeks to be with those savvy dealers that are already doing it. So don't leave this up to chance. And some of you probably are feeling like, oh my gosh, Tiffany, that's a little aggressive. And it honestly is. And if you don't have the support and the tooling that you need to do this, then it can feel really daunting. But Hireology is really to help guide you through the hiring process and to truly dive into your hiring and try and help you hit these benchmarks because it is possible. We have people doing it, and that's what really makes a difference when it comes down to it. So, with that in mind, something that I'm really excited about, we want to arm you with the information that you need to manage your process, like I said, whether at the store level or the group level. We want to give you visibility into where you're winning as a dealership or dealership group. And so Hierology has recently launched our enhanced insights product within Hierology, and you can view all of this right inside of your Hierology site. And you can use insights for things like flexible real-time dashboards. You can also use it for things like on-demand reporting if you really need something, split second. And really, what this comes down to, you can't improve what you're not measuring. So you need to know where in that hiring funnel you need to improve your process. So to close us out, technician recruiting, it really remains a major challenge. And you know that. You need techs during times of uncertainty. And second, winning dealerships, they compete with culture, speed, and opportunity, not just pay. And your process is your advantage here. Speed is your biggest competitive advantage. And most dealers think that they have a recruiting issue, but they don't. They have a process issue. You need the right tooling, the right support, and reporting and guidance. And don't try and boil the ocean in one shot. Really diagnose what your dealership or your group needs by using the data that is available to you based on what your current hiring process has been. And so with that, I'm going to leave this up here for a second to download the full report by scanning these QR codes. And then we will head into questions. So I'm going to skip to that next slide here and check to see if we have any questions that came through the chat. Let me find that. Okay, so we do have a question that came through. Oops, lost my screen. All right, there it is. Okay. Okay, so question about what are some practices for maintaining engagements with candidates through the hiring process, which I totally get, right? We're trying to move quickly. And if we know that applicants are applying to a ton of jobs at the same time, how do we keep them engaged with us versus the dealership down the road? So that's a great question. Really maintaining engagement with candidates, it's absolutely critical to being successful here. So a couple of things that come to mind for me right off the bat, things we've already talked about, consistent communication. So keep candidates informed of every stage of the hiring process. Regular updates about their application status, it helps them feel valued and engaged. This might seem crazy to you, but daily updates and sometimes multiple times per day updates on where they're at, how the conversations are going, that's what applicants want. And especially if they're thinking about you and your competitor down the road, and you're giving them like, hey, still in conversation right now, thinking things through, talking with whomever, that's going to give them a lot more confidence in you than somebody else that maybe is like, thanks for your interview, we'll talk to you soon. So consistent updates, and especially if you're going through interview to interview process, get those scheduled as quickly as possible. Another thing that comes to mind is realistic expectations too. So on that same front, let candidates know what to expect in regards to timeline and next steps. If you know that your hiring process is a 3-step process of a phone screen, a phone call with the manager, and then an in-person interview with the general manager, tell them that at the very start. And then if you know it's going to take 2 more days to get them approved as a hire, tell them that too. So really clear expectations. It helps with transparency and manage expectations. Another thing that comes to mind for me on that is providing feedback. So, a candidate is not selected, give them constructive feedback. I talked earlier about, your job is your sales and marketing pitch. Your dealership, the job posting that you have, the job description that you have, that is your pitch. So if you leave an interview and you ghost somebody, that's going to leave a bad taste in their mouth. I remember years ago, I applied to a company. It was a food brand, and I was like, "Oh, I love this brand, right? They're great." And lo and behold, they never got back to me months and months and months. And I was like, well, "I'm never eating their product again." Right. And that's like a small example of something. But if your dealership is your brand, so people can come back, service with you, buy cars from you, whatever it is there, try not to leave a bad taste in people's mouth, if that's where you're going with from there. So those are a couple things that come to mind. There's a lot, I think, mostly in regards to transparency and communication. We've already learned that speed is really important. So staying on top of what you're telling your candidate through the process. That was a long answer, but I'm going to check the chat, see if we've got anything else. Okay. One in the Q&A that I've just found. Okay, talking about data. So using data to enhance your hiring process using with speed. Okay, great. So I think reporting tools, they're really important when it comes to, enhancing your speed throughout the process. So we often hear from clients who are frustrated with the lack of applicants, for example, only to discover that their hiring managers have a full inbox of applications, but they haven't logged in to review them. So this is not an applicant flow problem. This is a hiring process problem. This type of oversight, it can really lead to longer wait times for candidates and a slow process that ultimately candidates are going to drop out of, and then they're going to impact your dealership. So if you're keeping track of metrics like this, like time to hire, like time to review, and where your sources are coming from, like I mentioned earlier, you can really identify if there's a hiring manager problem or if it's something else. Because if hiring manager is taking too long to review and respond, that's a process issue, right? Like that's something that we can manage internally and probably a little bit more quickly than a sourcing issue. And then also just really when we think about sourcing is like how effective are your sourcing strategies? So trying to reduce spend to generate a higher number of applications sometimes isn't necessarily the right move. But again, it is getting in your hierology quickly to view the people that are applying and checking the source of that. So like I said, career sites, they generally tend to be our best source of quality applicants. So if you see somebody that applies from your career site, get back to them as quickly as possible. Okay. I don't see anything else in the chat. So if there's no other questions, we'll close it up for today. I will hang out here for another couple of minutes to see if anything else comes through. But if not, like I said, we will get the recording and also the slides out for this within the next day or so. So I really appreciate you all taking about 30 minutes out of your day to join us today. And obviously stay in touch if there is something that we didn't cover that you'd like to see more of. Let us know. We're always looking to expand what we talk about and our learnings with all of you. So I'll hang out here for another 30 seconds, see if anything comes through. And if not, we will see you on the next webinar. Have a great rest of your afternoon.